Greetings, dear partners and investors. Today, we'll talk about the most important events of this week. Global events, the current state of the economy, and absolutely everything else that truly affects the future movement and overall direction of the market. Please make yourselves entirely comfortable. And now, let's truly get started with our discussion. At the time of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is $113,300. And now, let's determine who our winner is. The comment here was left too late, 113,000. Let me remind you, comments are accepted until 23:59 European time, because I see a comment was left 46 minutes ago, but there is one for 113,330 left 3 days ago. Well, congratulations, Lego Dams, the price was specified 3 days ago, so everything is correct. $113,330. Congratulations, you are the winner. Contact our technical support and they will definitely send you your prize. And as for the rest of you friends, take part in our giveaway contest. Just write the price of Bitcoin. One person, 3 comments. And in the next video, we will determine the winner. Maybe it will be you. I'm winning. Congratulations, I'll say it. Let's go. It's already happened twice, but twice is better than once. The US Federal Reserve continues to put pressure with interest rates. Of course, inflation is being contained, but rates are still not coming down. This, of course, restrains market growth, but it lays a solid foundation for explosive growth to begin. And explosive growth will start precisely when they begin to lower the rate. So for now, they're holding back the horses, so to speak, artificially. Don't push the horses. Meanwhile, China is actively advancing the digital yuan. They want to seize the initiative from the dollar and exert global influence on the world market. This could shift the balance of power in the global market, which means it could open new doors for crypto. Tensions are escalating at the Poland-Ukraine border. A drone that crashed on Polish territory is once again fueling geopolitical tensions. And consequently, this could increase interest in currencies that are highly protected, namely crypto assets, which serve as a safe haven from instability. So what's happening with Bitcoin? Bitcoin has dropped to $113,000. But there's absolutely no need to panic. This is a healthy correction that the market needs. What's interesting is that altcoins fell much less during this time and some even managed to grow. And this is a clear signal. Capital is moving from Bitcoin into altcoins, or in simpler terms, into other coins. This means that capital rotation is beginning. When Bitcoin cools off, movement starts in other coins. This is exactly the kind of behavior that preceded previous bull runs, explosive, massive growth. Ethereum is rising, along with many other coins. It's clear that the market is alive and ready for a new surge. What does this mean for investors? Altcoins are holding up better, and institutional investors are once again turning their attention to crypto. The world is preparing for new money, new technologies, and a transition to a new economy, specifically the digital economy, the summit of which many have been anticipating. The meeting between Putin and Trump took place on August 15th, but it ended without any concrete agreements. Trump moved from a ceasefire to a peace agreement, although no agreements were actually signed. The markets reacted to this absolutely calmly. Oil dropped by just $1, gold went up, and cryptocurrencies remained almost unchanged. But all of this had already been priced in by the markets. The bull run is already at the doorstep. That very time when assets will grow by 10, 20, 30, or even several 100% in a single day may be coming very soon. I believe that the current time is the best time in the past 3 years. Not tomorrow, not when things start to grow, but right now. But these are just my thoughts, my analysis, and the decisions I make for myself. What decisions you make, of course, is up to you. So don't take this as any kind of recommendation. Everyone has their own head on their shoulders and everyone should make decisions independently. I'm just sharing my thoughts, what I do myself. But now let's move on to the review, to looking at the charts. For now, let's look at the weekly time frame and let's view it without any drawings. And here we can see that the previous week, that is Sunday, closed with a candle that can be called a shooting star, where we have the candle body that opened here and closed here, but at the same time it moved quite a bit, going up and collecting stop orders, and this indicates a further decline, yes, a corrective one. Here we also see that the thin purple line has crossed below the green one. Now the green is on top and possibly there will be a move down to the 50th value on the RSI and only there a reversal is possible. In other words, this is a completely normal corrective movement that should have already happened in the market since it is now clear that capital is flowing from Bitcoin into other assets. If we look here as well, Bitcoin has grown by 0.53%, while Ethereum is already up by 2.44%. And that's a very good positive sign, because previously, basically, Bitcoin was growing while Ethereum was standing still. Now, of course, the situation has changed. What else is interesting on the monthly time frame? This correction could continue even up to possibly $100,000, right? Maybe it will be a squeeze, but we already have this almost fully formed pattern, a triple top on the RSI, and it often plays out exactly as it should, right? In other words, it works out very, very well. So for now, it hasn't fully formed yet, but there is a chance it will, especially if, again, the purple line on the monthly time frame crosses this green line. There is such a scenario for how things could develop, right? We need to be prepared for this, and it would be absolutely normal if Bitcoin in the near future reaches at least $105,000 or possibly even $100,000. This is a level that has long been a psychological barrier. Well, it needed to be overcome. Now it needs to be tested, right? It has been overcome. There hasn't been a test yet. Of course, it's not strictly necessary, but the market shows that it's a bit overheated. At the very least, capital should flow from Bitcoin into other assets. Therefore, Bitcoin is more likely to gradually decline, possibly to 105 or even to $100,000. That would be absolutely normal. Anything below $100,000 only if there is consolidation at least on the daily or better yet on the weekly time frame, consolidation below $100,000, then the chances are very high that Bitcoin could tumble all the way down to $70 or even $63 to $65,000. So far, that's not visible, but it's important to keep an eye on that level. For now, the $155,000 zone remains a magnet for us, which I pointed out earlier. Basically, that's all I have for Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum looks quite strong right now. I would even say very, very strong. On the 3-month time frame, we have large, powerful bars, then a reversal. There was a reversal bar here, yes, and then a continuation. Every dip gets bought up and bought up very, very strongly. Ethereum is aiming to surpass its previous all-time high, which was back in 2021 at around $4,800 to $4,900. After breaking through, the next levels are also marked here, around $7,200, and that's something to keep an eye on. What could happen here? In this case, of course, Ethereum could move up from these points, or it could go through a corrective move, right? But overall, it will keep moving upward, and I see that every dip will be bought up. That's what the market is indicating for now. And personally, that's exactly how I'll be trading because the market is in an uptrend. I clearly understand that the trend is your friend and you should focus more on going long rather than short. What other interesting pattern is there? We have a triple bottom and it should play out very, very well. In previous videos, I showed that the maximum price this move could reach is about $10,000. That would be a perfectly normal outcome for this triple bottom. But this move could happen after, of course, a shakeout before the growth. I still see a good chance that either from the current levels or from somewhere around $5,200, $5,400, maybe even $5,500, we could see a scenario where there is a very sharp dump, and this dump could go down to even around $3,300, and that would be absolutely normal. That would be the perfect point to buy back in because it might not even be possible to buy back quickly. So I keep this scenario in mind, and it could happen, and it would be absolutely normal. When it seems like the price is breaking out of such a strong pattern, there could be a move like this with a sharp buyback and then it will keep flying upward. For Ethereum to Bitcoin, everything is just mega ideal. Ethereum to Bitcoin has completely changed the direction of its movement and is moving confidently and steadily upward. I think that in the history of Ethereum to Bitcoin, it has never been worth as much as it will be this year. That's why I personally have very big bets on Ethereum based on the current charts. BNB to USDT also shows a generally stable picture. There may be some shakeouts. I haven't seen BNB react strongly to pullbacks. It is also holding up very, very firmly. And here, our next level is around $1,000. And then the levels are 1,500 and further. So the scenario might change, but only with a minimal probability and only if BNB consolidates below $680. So the upward structure we have is a bullish flag on the monthly time frame, which is extremely important. Let me repeat, those of you who have taken our training know very well how well these patterns play out, especially on such large time frames. We still have Solana left to cover. I want to share a few thoughts on it and then we'll wrap up. In the meantime, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already to our channel and leave your comments. I'll be happy to read them. By the way, don't forget about the contest either. Try your luck. Why not, right? Everything looks pretty good for Solana, but it will look even better if Solana manages to hold above $200. Because for now, this divergence that played out, yes, it did play out, can be considered to have worked well. And we have a positive upward movement and possibly a squeeze towards the level. So if it holds above $200, then it's off to the races. Anything below $200 for now could push Solana down to $90, or maybe even $70. I'm not considering that scenario for now because in addition to this, on the monthly time frame, there's also a reversal indicator for me personally, when the purple line crosses this green line from below upwards, and there could even be a good pump for Solana. I don't follow the news. It's not interesting to me, but maybe against a news backdrop, they could release some positive news and that could trigger a move. For now, the structure looks very, very good, just as it should for further growth to continue. That's all from me for today. I recorded the video as much as was possible. If you found this helpful, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. I'll be very happy to carefully read and consider all of them. Please do stay in touch and I look forward to seeing you again next time.